Okay, I think we are live. Yep, it looks like we're live. Okay. Welcome to Nerd Church. Normally, this is the place where we get together and read through the Catholic lectionary and see what critical scholarship has to say about that. But one of the things that we also do is explain Catholic nonsense. And when the Catholic nonsense is actually a problem, we also explain why those Catholics are wrong. And we're just gonna try to get through as much as we can today of explaining why Michael Flynn, Bishop Strickland, and John Yep are very, very wrong about a lot of stuff. We are finishing up Michael Flynn's speech. Hopefully, we're going to get to Bishop Strickland. And Michael Flynn is just about to finish explaining to us how empires fall in a speech so catastrophically ignorant that I would like to apologize to any ancient or medieval historians who might be listening to this, because you're going to take psychic damage off of this one. Okay, so here we go.
Joined by leaders, usually local leaders, okay? And that is a fact of the rise and fall of every empire since the Byzantine Empire, and they've been all studied. So this spiritual awakening, and then the rise of great leaders, and then you have a period of time where you have this period of enlightenment, right? And then everybody is doing fine, everybody thinks everything's wonderful, and then you go into complete.
Yeah.
Since the fall of the Byzantine Empire, so this is a pattern that we saw with the Seljuks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure. Why not? Fine. That's great. Okay.
Yeah. And like to be fair, like the thing that caused the final fall of the Byzantine Empire was the
cannons.
Yes, was cannons. It was the conquest of Constantinople by the who conquered Constantinople?
The Turks.
That's right. It was the Turks.
That's who still owns it today.
Yeah, and they still have it, and they still own it today. And you know what? I am pretty sure that was not, in fact, like caused by like religious decadence or anything like that. I'm pretty sure it had to do with the Turks having better cannon.
Sold to them by a Christian engineer.
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah, that's the other thing, is that like the Turks had like Europeans working for them.
Yep.
Like the Venetians were like all super buddy with the Ottoman Turks,
which got them in occasional trouble with Rome.
Yes, it did.
And they were like, "Ha, don't care. I've got money. I can pay a priest to give me sacraments, even if he's not supposed to."
Yes, exactly. So the point is that he's like comically, laughably wrong.
Yeah, it's weird, because I would say this is a level of understanding that I would expect from like I don't know, someone who's in like 8th or 9th grade or something, but I also wouldn't expect an 8th or 9th grader to like know terms like the Byzantine Empire. So it's like he studied history to get like vocabulary words, and then he just threw the vocabulary words on a table, shuffled them around, and picked them up in random order, and was like, "This is how history works. I've used the tarot of my history vocabulary words, and God has directed how those cards are going to land, and that is my understanding of world history as directed by God via shuffled cards."
Right. And also just this idea that, you know, you have like something starts and then it's awesome for a while, and then you have a period of decadence and everything goes to shit,
It's not a real thing.
is not a real thing. I
Yeah.
mean,
Like at some point, could that have happened? Yeah, probably somewhere in the entire history of every empire that's ever existed. Sure. But like, yeah, there's not a pattern that exists in history in any meaningful way.
right. And the idea that history is this kind of like magical thing where it's like, if we can just hack the system and figure out the underlying patterns, we can predict what's going to happen forever.
Hey, you know what one of those really important underlying patterns is? It's climate change.
Yeah, exactly.
Something this guy wants to ignore.
Yes. And also, I mean, yes, it is true that when you're studying history, you eventually start noticing patterns repeating themselves because you're
Hmm.
talking about the study of human behavior.
Yeah.
And there are a limited number of ways that humans are going to behave. But that doesn't mean that you can just go, oh, an empire is falling apart. This is exactly how it's going to play out. And this is exactly the consequences of that. It doesn't work that way.
Also, I would add that if he's worried about decadence, then maybe looking to the guy who spray painted gold all over his Home Depot decorations to plaster them all over his office might not be the guy to lead you out of decadence. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, this isn't really about intellectual consistency.
That's true. It is not.
no. And, let's keep in mind that, like, his definition of our society is in decadent decline is, oh my God, I was served my coffee at Starbucks by a blue-haired trans woman.
The
Not,
horror.
yeah, not the president of the United States used to fly to an island and do horrible things to like girls in their early teens.
Again, not consistency is not their strong suit.
No, consistency is not their strong suit. And, again, it's worth pointing out, these are people who are clout chasing, right? They are having this little fake award ceremony so that they can catch attention. And they're probably really hoping that the US Conference of Catholic Bishops or somebody will pay attention to them because that would make them look important, which is why they're being ignored, except by us, because we're not dignifying them by responding to them.
I'm
Right?
so far removed from the hierarchy, I'm not even Catholic.
Exactly. Like the fact that the only sustained response they're getting is from a 17 subscriber YouTube channel is a measure of our contempt.
I could be doing this on a 14,900 YouTube channel.
We could, but that would lend them a dignity.
True.
That would be putting him like on a level with like the Ken Hams and Kent Hovens of the world.
This would also feed the persecution complex
Yes, exactly.
that is rife in this whole thing.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't have to. I haven't seen much of this as I missed last week, but I just know that persecution complex was high on the
yeah.
You
list
missed
of what was happening.
You missed some amazingly dumb stuff.
Yes.
I'm trying not to swear too much because this is a Christian themed show, but yeah.
But there's a lot of stupidity. So let's continue.
Complacency, and then you go to apathy, and then you go to obedience. Okay? I believe where is America today? We're somewhere between complacency and apathy. But I do believe, and I forget who said it to me, but somebody there this morning said to me, we talk about Charlie Kirk, John knows Charlie well. and I got to know Charlie as a guy too. He's just a great human. You know, Charlie is like a modern day martyr. He's a martyr, and
For racism.
Charlie was part of that spiritual awakening, and so
Yeah.
Racists can have racist murders too.
Yes. Although arguably it could be argued that Charlie Kirk was a martyr for transphobia.
Yeah, definitely that too.
Because according to what we know about the motivations of the person who killed Charlie Kirk,
allegedly killed
Charlie Kirk. Yes, I mean, like, I would be willing to swear in court that, like, that dude was sitting next to me on the couch playing Call of Duty when that happened. But his alleged motivations were that his beloved partner was a trans woman, and he did what, good boys from Utah are taught to do when somebody insults your woman.
Wait, what?
Oh, the guy who shot Charlie Kirk, allegedly, like, his motivation was that he thought that Charlie Kirk's, like, unrelenting transphobia was putting his, like, girlfriend at risk.
And let's be very clear, it absolutely was.
Yes. No, 100%. I have not followed the Charlie Kirk killer situation, like, at all, because frankly, none of my business. Please proceed. I have bigger villains to follow.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we all do, frankly.
Yeah. But the point is that, like, according to the, like, logic of conservative American masculinity, Tyler Robinson behaved in a, like, reasonable and praiseworthy fashion. Like, by that internal logic, right? Someone was threatening his woman, he ended that guy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And, we can argue if, that kind of vigilante justice is a good thing. I would be inclined to say that in most circumstances it's not. And in the case of Charlie Kirk, it was at least highly counterproductive. But you also can't pretend that this was a particularly woke action, right? This was like, this was like classic, like, Clint Eastwood style toxic masculinity. I don't know. That's probably too spicy of a take, but although one thing that is interesting here is that there's part of the whole, like, civil war within, like, people who want to take over Turning Point USA is, like, the Catholics and the evangelicals are both trying to claim Charlie Kirk.
Oh yeah, because the Catholics are like, he was just on the cusp of converting.
Oh yeah,
I promise.
He was totally about to convert, right?
Which, I mean, might actually be true. There is there is an existing strain of, like, alt-right kind of broadly Protestant to Christian, like, thing that, or not to Christian, to Catholic thing that happens every once in a while. J.D. Vance being a very obvious example.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not impossible. And also
J.D. Vance killed the Pope.
Okay, no. J.D. Vance did not kill the Pope.
What happened? Absolutely.
No. What happened was that Pope Francis was allowed to have one last Easter Sunday as Pope. And he chose to use some of his last moments on earth to try to give JD Vance the chance to think about his life and become a better person. And JD Vance chose not to listen to him.
And the sorrow of that killed the Pope.
Okay, let's no, I'm sorry. I'm not giving you that one because
all right. I'm still going to think of him as a Pope murderer.
Okay, that's cool. But like Pope Francis, like we had been expecting him to pass for like 6 months before that. The fact that he made it to the fact that he made it through Easter is like legitimately like was a gift. And that's all I have to say about that. But the point is that I think that it's less likely that Charlie Kirk was going to convert to Catholicism, and more likely that Charlie Kirk, because his wife was raised Catholic, knew that, like, you know, the evangelical tendency to talk shit about the Virgin Mary was going to be a liability. But anyway, so I will hit play.
People that will go after children, and if you ever watch Tom Homan, and this is why, I mean, he's made me cry listening to him cry on national television when he talks about children and having gone through the rescue of children. And it just brings a tear to your eyes because you're like, you can see the emotion in this man that is so, you know, he wants to solve it like yesterday. He wants to solve the problem yesterday. And it's a huge problem. So what we have to understand is that for all of us that are here, and you know, we appreciate, you know, I appreciate Tom, you know, deeply, because I know that his job is probably one of the hardest jobs, because he's also a tactician. He's a master tactician, meaning that Tom is also the guy that's not going to sit here in Washington, D.C. and make all these wonderful decisions. Tom's going to go to the, you know, he is the pointy end of the spear type of guy, and he's going to go to the site because he wants to see it, he wants to feel it, because he wants to understand how to defeat it. And that's what we need in people right now. It's what we need in that type of position for our country and our government right now. And that's kind of why we, you know, John and I, a few months ago, when we reached out and we came up with this idea, and we'll do this again, because we will recognize, we will constantly keep the pressure on ourselves and our leaders to figure out how do we return to some type of spiritual awakening in this country. And the more we remind people about children, the more we remind people about, you know, this is the future generation, right?
The ones you're locking in cages, the ones you're trafficking, those ones.
And one of the
those children.
Yes,
right?
got it.
And but I mean, you actually do bring up like a really valid point, which is just that, like, they've figured out that, oh, we're doing this to save the children, is like a really easy political strategy, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, the children are always the pawns of whatever group wants power,
right? Because it's like, oh, we're doing this to benefit the children, right? Yep. Well, are you really?
Well, he is, but to benefit the right children, by which I mean the white children.
Yes, exactly. And you know, and also I think that it's worth, though, you know, once again reminding ourselves that some of these people really are true believers, especially like the people, not necessarily the people on stage, but are sitting in the audience, which means that those are people who, if something happens that will make them go, maybe we aren't really protecting kids by doing this, there's a possibility that they'll actually like change their minds, right?
I mean, okay, but their God King is already a confirmed pedophile like tens of thousands of times over, and they haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, except that there actually are people who are starting to break away from Trump over the whole pedophilia thing.
I, Maybe I'm just a pessimistic dick. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like,
My faith in humanity is
yeah,
running on fumes lately.
yeah. I kind of agree with you, but I mean, Lauren Boebert is flipping, of all people.
Yeah, and Marjorie Taylor Greene already did, although that's mostly a personal thing.
Yeah, but whatever. I don't care why people flip as long as they flip.
I care a bit because it indicates how much you can trust them after the flip.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so
In the
let's.
case of Marjorie Taylor Greene, about as far as I can throw her, and I don't know if you can tell, but my arms are very small and not very flexible.
Yeah, and you're not very good at throwing.
No, actually, I'm spectacularly bad at it. Although my fingers are super flexible, which doesn't help with that, but it helps with prey grip.
Oh, okay. So anyway, let's continue.
Individuals in the room with me was holding, he brought his 5-year-old, this little boy, right? And I'm thinking, I said to the group of people, he's 5 years old. So, most of the people in the room were like, my age or 75 or 80, and they were all older people. It was somebody's nice home, and we're trying to help somebody run in a local election, And I said, that kid is only going to be, I pointed to a couple of people that were sitting on couches. I said, that kid's only going to be as old as you at the turn of the next century. 75 years from now, right? It's nothing. It's nothing. It goes by like that. So when we think about this nation, we think about how fragile our system of government is. We look at a president like a President Donald J. Trump, who honestly, everybody knew him with different parts of his life, but he rose out of nowhere because he said this country is going to crap. And he's like, I'm gonna.
And then he was like, and I want to get a piece of it.
Thank God that he did that, and thank God that he fought through.
Yeah, speed it up.
I mean, I'm firmly of the opinion that, in fact, the country ceased to exist with the immunity decision during the Biden presidency, and that they're currently. I am technically a U.S. government sede vacantist, I suppose. I don't think there is, in fact, a validly elected government. I don't think that the Constitution is currently in operation in any meaningful way.
I can't say that I disagree with you.
So excommunicate me now, oh Supreme Court, I suppose. I don't even know what that would mean.
Yeah,
I can't take communion at the Capitol building.
Well, I figure at this point, I'm really sure that my municipal government exists, and I'm really sure that my state government exists. So I'm just gonna proceed as normal.
Well, it's just like the sede vacantist, right? It's like, well, the Pope might not be the real Pope, but my bishop is probably a real bishop.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's because sedevacantists have their own sedevacantist bishops.
Well, okay, the analogy isn't perfect.
Yeah. And we just look at Aldo and we're like, so what's it like to, live in a country where when they said to people, hey, you want to have a really qualified woman run the country? Everybody went, yeah, that seems like a good idea.
Also, I only found out recently that the president of Mexico doesn't have a security detail. And I found out because she got sexually assaulted in the streets of Mexico City. And I was like, how is that even possible? And then I found out and I was like, I admire the audacity, but I don't know, maybe get a bodyguard, like one, just one to follow you around. I don't know.
Well, didn't the guy who assaulted her immediately get beat down by passersby?
If I remember correctly, yeah, and he's not gonna get away with it, but it feels weird that it can happen. It just felt weird that it could happen, and I was like, and this isn't a knock on Mexico. In fact, I think the idea that Mexico is like, you know what? Maybe we're good. Maybe the president should just rely on being a good enough person that they're not going to get assassinated. props. But it was just a weird way to find out that she didn't have a security detail.
Right. That's the idea, and I think that's so. What these political parties are trying to do is to stay away as much as possible from the previous administrations, which were big on security, and they try to, to show this more approachable, figure of a president, because at least two periods before there was this untouchable sense that there was this sense that the president was untouchable, and they try to make them more relatable, and perhaps that's the reason they are doing away with security at the cost of perhaps, and it's not that presidents or even people from security from the security department have not had any attempts to end up their lives.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think you have a much better president than I do, even though I think technically he's not really the president. But the guy in charge. I would certainly take Mexico's president if I could, if she were eligible. Which, by the way, if there were a part of the Constitution I would get rid of, it would in fact be the native citizen requirement for the president. I do not care. It is. I think it's a dumb one. I don't like it. If I were like, hey, Dapper, you get to do a line item veto on the Constitution, that would be right up near the top of my list for. Let's cross out that one.
Well, regarding that, there were these rumors back in the 80s and 90s that even though it was required for a presidential candidate to be a native Mexican, there were rumors that most of them were, had American surnames or something like that, or. So
well, the fun thing about America is you don't actually need an American surname, because you can have them for surname from just about anywhere, and you might actually just be an American.
Yeah.
But I also found it very interesting when the Republican Party decided that since Ted Cruz was in the primaries, that they stopped caring where someone was born in terms of whether or not they were a native-born citizen, and they decided that, it's okay if you're born in Canada as long as you were born an American citizen, which meant that all the birthers, who included people that supported Ted Cruz, just completely negated their idea that Obama didn't qualify because he was born as an American citizen, even under the birther conspiracy, because he was born to American nationals who were there for diplomatic reasons and would have been immediately granted U.S. citizenship for that reason. Which is also why the only people in the United States who aren't citizens that are born here are the people born to foreign diplomats who have diplomatic immunity, because the clause says that they have to be under the jurisdiction of the United States, and foreign diplomats with diplomatic immunity are not.
Interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, but that made entirely too much sense. So let's have some more nonsense.
Yay.
How far into this video are we?
Not like halfway.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Give all of us another shot. Now, So I'll finish with this, because I always want to remind people, because everybody always comes up to me and says, thank you for your service. And
Do they?
My father served, my grandfather served, whatever. And I'm like, I try to turn that conversation around quickly and say to you, how will you serve? Right? How will you serve?
That never happened.
Yeah, no, that never happened.
A couple of them, Vic Miller's a great.
Actually, I don't know. Given the way that MAGA like fetishizes the military, I can actually believe that somebody who is trying to kiss up to Michael Flynn actually would thank him for his service.
Oh, no. I have multiple first-degree relatives who served in the U.S. military.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part's realistic.
That is the most realistic part of that conversation. That I believe happens because I've seen it happen.
Mhm.
And frankly, everybody I know who served is kind of like, don't say that to me. You don't actually understand what that's like at all. Leave me alone.
As a veteran, I second this. Please just leave me alone.
Yeah, the only people veterans want to hear it from are like other veterans, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else can go fucking kick rocks. Sorry.
Well, I wouldn't be that mean about it. I would just be like, I don't think that's a necessary thing for you to say, and I would prefer to just walk away now.
Right. But it gets weird. But I don't think Michael Flynn's like, well, how are you gonna serve? Because I just don't.
No.
Yeah.
And of course, my answer would be, well, first, I already did. And second, by opposing everything you ever wanted.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fighting you every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the part I don't think happened.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. The thank you for your service, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
The how are you going to serve? No, you didn't say that to anyone.
Yeah.
That's a fantasy he has, but that is not a thing.
Yeah, he said that to a shampoo bottle while thinking about the next time it happens, and then the next time it happened,
actually moving to another state, back to his home state where he grew up in the projects to run for Congress. Right? Yeah. You know, I mean, it's like a businessman did good, you know, and he's a former Marine. I mean, just as an example. But this is the type of thing that it's not a spiritual awakening because of one man. It's not. It is because of we the people. And if we the people don't figure out where our roots came from, then we deserve what we will get. And what we can't allow is we have to constantly fight for these children, whichever organizations you want to be part of or help out, right? I mean, God, if we don't do this, and I can tell you, this is a daily, nightly fight. We know people that are involved in child rescue operations. I talk to one every single day. Somebody who is directly involved in him and his wife, and my sister Mary knows what I'm talking about. They are actually going out rescuing children in the most brutal conditions. And that's what Tom sees and feels. So when you see him and you hear him, you know that he's representative of, frankly, mostly about 900,000 professional law enforcement officers, men and women that are around this country today trying to do their job. And it is a difficult job. And, you know, and President Trump, I know he's got some tough decisions to make, and he's going to have to make them here pretty soon. Going to have to make some very tough decisions here very soon, because we cannot have basically, you know, subversion against our country the way it's happening. And it's being paid for, as, you know, as the Attorney General said yesterday, it's being paid for by, and we all know this, it's being paid for by outside forces.
And here I thought the tough questions that he had to make, or the tough decisions he had to make, I'm sorry, was just how many teenage girls to have shipped in.
Yeah.
This man rambles so bad.
Yeah, and it's just like we're rambling and we're just saying, yes, we're taking care of the kids. We're taking care of the kids. And then when you ask them, okay, so can we maybe have some more school funding? What about feeding the kids? What about, you know, and you're like, okay, so what you actually mean is that abortion should be illegal and it's okay to like lock kids in cages
and to rape them if you make enough money.
Yes, and if you are, you know, rich and powerful, then obviously you're, you know,
exempt
from
all the rules.
And also keep in mind that they want to protect children, and they seem to think that girls quit being children when they hit puberty. It is the bottom line.
Let's remember Matt Walsh, one of the intellectual supporters of this entire movement, had an entire segment of his podcast about peak fertility in teenage girls.
Yes, and how it's a phebophilia, actually.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, that's the correct response, Amanda. That is exactly the correct response.
In the worst part about this is this, because I hear this all the time, is people are like, well, in the past it was like that. You're like, no, it wasn't. It absolutely was not like this in the past. They knew in the past that you can't. Girl,
the past wasn't characterized by 13 and 14-year-olds going off to start their own families.
No. And everybody you can mention that was that age was of an upper class, and it's kind of a different rules. Like, that was weird shit.
Yeah, that was primarily political and not economic or reproductive.
Yes, right. And they all knew. Like, there's a Margaret Beaufort is like one of those super good examples. She has a baby at 14. She never ever gets 14. Pregnant again. And everybody knows that it's because she had a baby at 14 and it was bad.
13.
13, sorry.
Yeah. But and that's the other point, is that very often, even when the upper classes were like having these like arranged marriages between teenagers, it was considered to be advisable to not let the teenagers have sex until they were like maybe like 18, 19, because it was bad for their health. In fact, when Ferdinand and Isabella's oldest son died, which is eventually how we get the Holy Roman Empire, the reason why people were like, yeah, he got sick because he was having sex with his wife too much. He was like 17, 18 years old. And it was just, it sapped his strength. It was too much for him, and he got sick and died.
I feel like that wasn't the actual reason, though.
No. But that was the, okay. But that was like,
but they did know that it was not a good idea for.
Yeah.
But that's the actual point, is that even when very young teenagers were going through a marriage ceremony, the idea that meant that they should be sexually available even to each other was not considered normal, right?
Right. There is no historical time when it was just like, oh yeah, you're 14 and you started your menstrual cycle. Go out and pop out kids. That's not a thing.
Right. And very often, part of the reason for marrying off girls when they were young was so that they would be like protected, right? It's like, it's like, this girl like has been claimed, she belongs to a man in theory, so let's not even go there, right?
Which is horrible in a different way.
Right. It's horrible, and it's not good.
But it's also not the thing that these guys think is going on.
Right. Like, basically, there has never been a time period where it was normal for like
to be a pedophile.
Yeah, to be a pedophile. That has never been normal, right? Ever.
Right.
And society has tried to prevent that in a lot of different ways. And so, yeah, it's just, it's ridiculous and just no. Okay.
I'm honored to be part of this, John, and be part of, your organization, Catholics for Catholics. John was right to point out Catholics, and most people don't know this, but when a president wins, and this is statistically last 10 presidential elections, about 67% of the vote comes from Christians. Okay. So
yeah, that's about the proportion of the population of the United States.
Christians.
What?
The largest
What?
voting.
It's like saying, when the president wins, usually somewhere around 40 to 50 to maybe 55% of those votes are women. Like, yeah, of course. That's how it works. What is this?
Yeah.
Is this man just literally just spitting demographic facts about the United States just for
Yes.
funsies? Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to
Yes.
crash out about demographics.
Yeah.
That's what's going to cause me to crash out because I was expecting everything else, to be fair, right?
Well, and especially when you consider the fact that like he's going to be talking about how like the Christian the candidate who gets the majority of Christians voting for him will win.
Yeah, because Christians are the majority of the
Yeah.
population.
And then he will turn around and say that Christians are persecuted. Right?
Again, consistency is not
Mm.
intellectual consistency is not these people's strong food. I would also like to note that this man has name dropped literally everybody possible without actually saying anything about those people other than they're like vaguely interesting or cool.
Yeah.
Like he's never like he talks about like them doing something, but not actually anything concrete. Like we're saving children, President Trump, blah blah blah, Tom, blah 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 blah, saving people. What? And you're like, give us some numbers, man. Some actual numbers.
Well, he's giving
actionable things.
He's going to give us some numbers. So let's hear the numbers.
Oh no.
In this country is the Catholic vote. So you cannot, you're right, good.
I love how we went from
Catholic vote. It's an
you
interesting
can predict the president based on the Christian vote to therefore it's the Catholic vote, even though Catholics are a minority among Christians in the United States.
Yeah, although to be fair, like about 20% of Christians in the US, of people who identify as Christian, identify as Catholic.
Well, it's a big block, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
it's not like you can equate those two groups in every way.
No, you can't. But, as we've talked about before, it does mean that the Catholic vote is important.
Oh, yeah.
Because
definitely.
if something will happen that causes all the Catholics to go out and vote as a block on that issue, like you can't win an election.
Yeah, that's true. If the Catholics did vote that way, which I mean, they don't, right? That's the thing. They don't form a voting block.
Yeah, exactly. But if something were to happen that would cause Catholics to vote as a block,
right? It would definitely be. It could very well be determinative, unless, like, I don't know, like I guess maybe like African Americans formed a different block and voted the opposite way, and it was a wash or something. Because those are groups of the country that are similar in size.
Right. But the point is that this is part of the reason why groups like Catholics for Catholics exist, is because there are strategists in every political party that are trying to figure out, okay, how can we persuade a certain number of people that belong to name your group, whether that's Catholics or Baptists or what have you, to vote for us because we think that they'll be the best for our group, right? And that's why, these guys are out there trying to recruit Catholics for MAGA, right? Because if the Catholics are like, no, we're not going to vote for Trump because Donald Trump is putting Catholic kids in cages, right? Then Donald Trump and his successors don't win the election.
Right. And he very much is doing that.
Right. And that's why, like, for example, yesterday, the Bishop of Little Rock, was like, yeah, a whole bunch of people in my dad's family got killed in the Holocaust. And this kind of reminds me about some of the stuff that my dad said about what was happening to his cousins in Poland. And we should probably, think about that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we probably should. In fact, my late grandmother's one of her favorite saints was Maximilian Kolbe, who in fact died during the Holocaust in a concentration camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Who was arrested for being a priest who was speaking out against the Nazis.
Yeah.
So like, and actually I only read up on him because in fact he was my late grandmother's, one of her favorite saints.
Yeah. And like, and there's, plenty of people that are like, well, Maximilian Kolbe shows you what you're supposed to do. Right?
Imagine if these guys were just take Maximilian Kolbe as their patron and actually pay attention to his example rather than the example of, Tom Homan, the famously corrupt czar of the border, which is still a weird thing to have.
Yeah.
So, but that would be difficult.
Yes.
That's true. It would be difficult. Yeah, that is a good point. In fact, if you actually take the example of pretty much any Catholic saint seriously, it would be difficult.
Yes. And in fact, failing to do something that is right because that would be difficult is actually the official definition of the sin of sloth.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
It turns out the cute South American animals are safe. It wasn't their fault.
Yes. But yes, sloth is literally like the classic example of sloth is like, yeah, I was out partying late on Saturday night. And so like, I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to sleep in. And like, I'm just not going to go to mass because I'm tired. Right?
Yep.
When the correct response is, I was out doing a DJ set all night, so therefore I'm going to put on my cassock and offer mass at dawn, and then I'm good and everybody's good, which is what DJ Padre Guilherme does in Portugal.
A thing I would have, a rave I would 1,000%
All right.
go to, by the way.
Yes, yeah. There's a Catholic priest who is a like well-known electronica DJ. He's
pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh no, he's totally cool. But it's Padre Guilherme, and I know I'm butchering the name because it's Portuguese, and yeah. But anyway, he's really great, and he would seriously like be playing all night and just power through. He'd still have his like jeans on under his cassock.
That sounds really, really uncomfortable and hot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I know it's probably not the appropriate thing, but I would toss on some gym shorts or something under there. Like, no.
No, actually, priests usually, at least in America, priests usually are like fully dressed under their cassock.
Which sounds stifling.
Yeah.
My priest is.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wears pants and a long sleeve shirt underneath her cassock.
I mean, I'm not a priest, but I feel like if I were a priest, I'd be like gym shorts and a t-shirt. Let's go.
Admittedly, she also wears Converse. I'm literally wearing a pair of Converse. Why I couldn't remember the name was special. But she wears Converse the color of the season. So she's wearing green
that's
right
clever.
now. She wore green
That's
last week, and then it'll be different for Lent.
Purple's coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, purple's coming up.
So she'll be wearing purple on Sunday. No, not on Sunday. She'll be wearing green still.
Yeah.
It's still ordinary time, but
yeah.
So I wonder, do you think that the conversation would have gone somewhere else if Tom Holman actually showed up? Or do
I
you
don't
think it would be the same?
Well, I think Tom Homan would be up here instead of Michael Flynn because let's face it, Flynn's a nobody who got bounced out of the administration within like
Mhm.
2 weeks of the first time Trump was in office.
Mhm.
This guy has got to be like eighth or ninth on their list of people they wanted here.
actually no, Michael Flynn is at the top of their list.
Really?
Yeah, Michael Flynn is on the advisory board of Catholics for
Oh,
Catholics.
see, I didn't know that part.
Oh, so
Yeah,
he
yeah,
would be up there either way.
Oh,
yeah, he'd be
gross.
up there either way. But yeah, basically, these
Ugh.
are all people who are trying to get just a little bit of fame and power and influence. And so they are happy to take the stage to get any shot at reflected glory.
So you think it was actually better for them and for their plans to that Tom Holman didn't actually show up?
I think that they would have done exactly what they did even if he had shown up.
Okay.
Because
Makes
they
sense.
actually do have Tom Homan address the crowd on speakerphone. So I'm going to play because I hope we can get to that part because it's truly the funniest part of this whole sad video.
I mean, we could skip to it since basically all Michael Flynn is doing is saying, look at all the things that we're doing that are great, when in fact he is the one doing the things he's complaining about that need to be fixed.
Yes, this is true. So let's skip Michael Flynn.
Because I don't know how much more I want to hear of, like, we have to save the children while we're torturing the children and denying them medical help.
I'd like to welcome now my new friend Maddie here from the White House Office of Faith to read the remarks from Tom and roll call for the man himself. Thank you, Maddie.
Is this a person people should recognize?
Perfect. Well, good morning, everyone. As he said, I am from the newly created White House Faith Office. It's an honor to be here today, and I'm pleased to present the following message from my board czar. General Flynn and members of Catholic.
Okay, this person is I forgot to I don't have my notebook with me where I wrote down her name. This is so give me a second to Google it because I want to get her full name and position.
I mean, there's a White House Office of Faith sounds like something straight out of 1984.
Yeah. Well, the White House Office of Faith is currently run by Paula White Cain, who is a charismatic minister who is like big on like the prosperity gospel and all that kind of stuff.
The exact kind of religion that Trump would have if he bothered to have one.
Yes.
Yep. In fact, your wealth isn't a sign of any kind of exploitation that you might have done or cronyism in buddying up with corrupt government agents or anything. It is in fact a blessing from God because you're so godly that God wants you to have that money. Just ignore all those parts in the Bible where it says literally the exact opposite about wealth. Yep. Prosperity gospels preachers must think that needles have the biggest holes for threading them that have ever existed. It must be just gigantic.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of them have ever seen a sewing needle.
It's a gate, don't you know?
Oh, yeah, except that, it's not. There never was such a gate. Whoops.
Again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not finding it, and I apologize, but
It's okay.
yeah, but she actually, I think that this is, let me double check something real quick.
We can just go with she's some lady with MAGA face from the White House.
Yeah, she's some lady with MAGA face from the White House. But yeah, I think that she's actually, oh yeah.
And there, I'm not trying to body shame her, because MAGA face is a choice that people make about hairstyle and makeup. It is not a thing that is natural.
Yes. However, yeah, she's not the one who was I just double checked. This is not Maddie Prejean Bowers, who was forced to resign from the commission for being an anti-Semite.
Wow, the bar is so low.
I'm honestly kind of surprised that anyone was forced to resign for being an anti-Semite, given that that's just openly what huge portions of the right-wing, like, blogosphere and vlogosphere are doing. It's just open now. In fact, to the point that even Ben Shapiro, who has hired multiple open anti-Semites for his network, has started to feel like he needs to call it out because he realizes he's next on the chopping block.
Well, okay. The thing is that the and this is something we should probably go into more later, but basically she was specifically pushing this person on their stance regarding funding for Israeli military operations in Gaza.
Oh, she was an anti-Zionist. Got it.
Exactly. Which, like, you are so basically anti-Semitism is currently being defined as being opposed to the actions of the current Israeli government in Gaza.
Man, I know a lot of anti-Semitic Jews.
Yeah, and that's like the point, is that there is no doubt in my mind that the first person who's going to actually be prosecuted for this, for anti-Semitism, is probably going to be Jewish, right?
Or Muslim.
But it's because it's like, like thinking that Jews are evil lizard people who control the world is somehow in MAGA land not anti-Semitism.
Which is weird, because we all know that it's actually the Clintons who are the weird lizard people that help control the world. And they're not Jewish.
Yes, exactly. So, yes.
I was hoping I could break at least one panel member, and it was Amanda. Awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, so the point is that the Office of Faith and Freedom, which is probably in violation of the US Constitution just by existing, is like had to send this young lady to read a statement allegedly written by Tom Homan accepting this made-up award.
I want to know who the poor intern who actually ended up writing this is, and what it was like for that person to have to write this acceptance speech.
I don't know, but let's hear the acceptance speech.
Okay.
Let's honor the work of that poor intern.
For Catholics, I would like to accept the Protector of America Award on behalf of the dedicated, talented, and compassionate men and women of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Office of Refugee Resettlement at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, who have worked tirelessly to run down hundreds of thousands of leads, work numerous investigations, and locate more than 129,000 unaccompanied alien children of the more than 300,000 children that the Biden administration turned over to unvetted sponsors, lost track of, and weren't looking for.
All of that, by the way, is a lie. I'm trying not to pause for blatant lying too much, because we would never play any video. But,
And then people wonder why it takes me 2 hours to go through 3 minutes of a creationist video.
Exactly. Oh, and by the way, yeah, it's a
President Trump promised that he would
Carrie.
find these children. And under his strong,
I just checked it out. It was Carrie Prejean Bowler who was forced to resign from the Religious Liberty Commission. That is not Maddie who is speaking to us here.
Yeah. And also if you're MAGA and you're accused of anti-Semitism, which is just not being a fan of Israel, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you're not only a fan of Israel, but you're specifically not a fan of Israel because of the Jewishness of the state and because you don't like Jews broadly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like pretty much at this point, as far as I can tell, the main reason why MAGA likes Israel is because Israel is doing mean things to people.
It's aspirational.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Israel is doing mean things to Muslims.
Mhm.
So therefore they like them.
I mean, it's not like the United States hasn't gone into plenty of Muslim places, well, majority Muslim places is what I should say, and just wrecked up the place and at least, I don't know, I'm not sure I want to say participated in genocides, but let's say allowed genocides.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, often of Christians, the very people they think they're trying to protect, except of course, those aren't the right Christians, right? Because those are like Church of the East or like Oriental Orthodox. Who's even heard of that?
Yeah.
They don't count.
Well, you know, they don't worship in non-denominational warehouses, so clearly not that Christian.
And they've got too many paintings inside their churches. Unacceptable.
Oh, definitely too many paintings.
Yeah, I am 100% positive that there has never been a fog machine in a Oriental Orthodox church.
Probably not. Probably not.
So yeah.
Although actually some Oriental Orthodox churches are on like the top of my list for churches I would like to go to at some point.
Oh yeah.
Because
nothing. Like I am a liturgy nerd, right? I have nothing but love for like when they whip out the censer.
Mm-hmm.
I am in my happy place, right?
I have on the shelf behind me, there is a processional cross from Ethiopia.
I don't see that in your background.
Well, it's because it's off camera, but it's there.
Okay.
And
okay.
It's yeah. If I look the right direction, I can see it, but you can't. It's off camera. But it is actually there. Although the stand that I have it on is starting to wear away because it's just painted wood. So I might need to figure out a way to get a new stand for it because it's a cross that would top a pole that would then have a banner hung on it, which would usually have an icon of some saint or something for a procession. Yeah. It's very nice.
Yeah. But the point is that like there is a certain non-denominational mega church worship style that I have trouble taking seriously.
Look, there are sincere people who find great meaning in various non-denominational and charismatic church services, and that's great for them.
And that's great.
But I get why you don't take it seriously.
But it's like okay, like raising your hands and speaking in tongues, okay, whatever, you do you. But fog machines, there are limits.
What is a fog machine if not just a gigantic thurible?
There is a certain element of and I guess it's probably not untrue of all, you know, religious services or any sort of service, to be honest. But it does give concert and does give like the emotionality of that, which I think is a little weird. But
yeah, it wouldn't be the kind of thing that I would enjoy going to. But you know what?
No, I attend a service with no music every Sunday. Like
That also
not
sounds
any at
horrible,
all.
if I'm being honest.
No. It doesn't bother me. I quite
No, hey,
enjoy
that's
it.
great.
But yeah.
I'm a big fan of the idea that not everything is made for me, and that's okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Aldo has to go away because, but
We-
he will be back on Sunday.
Aldo has to
Yeah.
escape all this American nonsense.
Yes, exactly.
I was telling Katie the other day that I don't think it is fair for me to, first of all, I'm not into politics as much, and much less into the American politics. So it would be unfair for me to try to give an informed opinion.
Yeah.
So that is why I try
Yeah.
to stay,
That's fair, and I'm a little jealous. I wish
Frankly,
I
yes.
had that option.
Same.
I mean, all I know about politics right now, it comes from Jimmy Kimmel, from Stephen Colbert.
Hey, good news. You're better informed than about
James
30
Stewart.
to 40% of Americans.
I tend
Yeah,
to think that,
exactly. And hopefully next week we should be on to Strickland, where we have like some specifically Catholic nonsense.
Oh,
Sure.
good.
So anyway, but let's continue. Let's see if we can get through poor Maddie, who had to go out there and read a statement.
Every time you say Maddie, I think of Maddie from Science Side Up, who's one of my co-hosts, and I'm like, that's not Maddie.
No, this is a different Maddie.
This is bad Maddie.
Yeah, this is bad Maddie. This is MAGA Maddie.
Oh yeah, that's better. MAGA Maddie. Yeah. My Maddie is not MAGA Maddie. She's good Maddie.
And with unwavering support, these patriots, the patriots of these and other partner agencies have been and will continue to do just that. God bless them. Their accomplishments this first year under a myriad of challenges has been extraordinary. Every child is precious to the Lord, and this administration will undertake whatever efforts necessary to safeguard this population, the most vulnerable among us.
Yes.
And now I am honored to introduce the Board Czar himself, calling in with a special message.
Calling
Just
in.
1 second. Hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties, right?
He's not even going to be on a video call. It's just going to be a regular old audio phone call.
Yeah, on her personal cell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Girl, the
Holman
first rule
doesn't
of
care.
work is you don't use your personal phone for that shit.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Holman does not care. That is amazing.
The phone is still ringing.
Hello, this is Maddie and Catholics for Catholics.
Hey, Maddie. I have Tom right here. Hold on 1 second.
His wife answered the phone. This is amazing.
Wow. I might die of cringe.
Well, that was nice. First of all, thank you, Maddie, for the faith office.
Oh.
I got pulled to cover a matter out of town for the president, and I'm on her doing a mission. So I appreciate you representing me there today. Look, I appreciate you, Jenny, and the Pastor Paula, for all the advanced work you're doing to help us through this critical work we're doing. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Is he drunk?
Thank you to the Catholic leaders that are here today.
I don't know if he's drunk.
It sounds like he's slurring. I'm hearing like, I want to thank the Catholic leaders.
Yeah.
I think they might have caught him while he's been drinking, which, I mean, given the propensity for alcoholism among the Trump cabinet, I'm not shocked by.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like he's been maybe having a few too many whiskeys.
Yeah. Or possibly he's just slurring because, or possibly it's just the potato audio quality.
I'm trying to isolate that like mentally because like it's obviously like there's some reverb and like the high and low tones are being clamped to hell. but like it still feels like he's slurring. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to say.
You know what? My headcanon is that Tom Homan was drunk for this because he super didn't care.
Well, I mean, as we said, that this is like dying of cringe.
Oh yeah,
Like
this is
this whole
incredibly
thing is
cringe.
yeah.
yeah, and I might have had to take a shot to get through this.
Honestly, there are some like pre-mixed margaritas sitting in the refrigerator that are not like amazingly good, but it's tempting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am tragically off the sauce because of not wanting to overtax my kidneys.
You can get those replaced, right?
And great expense and difficulty, but
right
you
now
can't just go down to the corner store.
Unfortunately, no.
I'd like 2 fresh kidneys, please.
Yeah, no, I'd really rather. Right now, my nephrologist says that I'm not going to have to go on dialysis ever.
That's good.
And
but that might change if you start drinking.
And yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
So I'm trying to keep it that way. So yeah, but this is making me think, you know what? How bad would it be, really? Because if Tom Homan got to have a drink to get him through this,
there's Katie like, you know what? It's worth dialysis. Let's go.
Maybe if I just do it once, I'll be okay.
Just a little bit of dialysis as a treat.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're back on Tom.
For this recognition and your support for the important work the administration is doing. I am proud to be Catholic.
I wasn't aware that anybody suggested otherwise, but okay.
Yeah, I wasn't asking Tom to be ashamed of being Catholic. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, not to say that there hasn't been anti-Catholic bias in the United States, but that really hasn't been a problem in like the lifetime of like any living people, and certainly not like Tom Homan.
Yeah, this is not a high watermark for the oppression of Catholicism in the United States.
There is a time and a place where that did happen, but
oh, definitely
not 2026.
Oh, some of my ancestors had to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like I know that for a fact, but like the Catholic parts of my family that I know didn't.
Right. I mean,
none of my cousins were denied a job because Catholics need not apply.
Right. This is exactly the case, and like I said, when you have Michael Flynn, who's like, yeah, like the Catholic voting bloc could like become like, if Catholics would just vote as a bloc, we could become the kingmakers. And I have to say with my whole chest that I'm proud to be a Catholic because Catholics are oppressed. Are not compatible ideas.
Yeah, no, they're not.
No, they're not.
Look, are there easier things to be than Catholic? Sure. But Catholics, there's no reasonable case to make that they're being oppressed in the United States at any scale.
Right. Now, I mean, and also it's worth pointing out that if Catholics in the US are going to suffer oppression, it's going to be at the hands of the Trump administration.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in Catholicism that that MAGA does not like.
Exactly. And the fact that the American bishops are starting to say, yeah, you know, we really don't like you putting little kids in cages, is more likely to result in persecution than anything that is being said on that stage today.
Yep. I've mentioned this before, but there have in fact been instances of Catholic clergy showing up at courthouses just to scare away ICE and Border Patrol because they're less likely to go in guns blazing if there's a bunch of people who look like clergy sitting around.
Yeah, that was going on in LA, and and in Minneapolis, the Catholic clergy has been out there front and center.
Getting pepper balled to the face.
Yep, getting pepper balled to the face and going out and doing it again.
Look, I have criticisms for the Catholic Church. That's not one of them,
Yeah.
that they're doing that. That is a good job. I wish all of the other clergy were doing this.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, it's not like it's only the Catholics doing that.
No,
I don't want to pretend that that's the case either.
Yeah.
No. There's lots of clergy doing it. Like the Episcopalians are stepping up, Lutherans are stepping up.
Yep, there are plenty of rabbis out there.
Yeah.
There are plenty of various imams. Yeah.
Imams. There's Buddhist monks who just finished walking from Texas to DC, right? There's plenty of people
no one protests like a Buddhist monk. Jeez.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, guys. Even like, you know what? Good for you. But like, I don't know. Maybe don't kill yourself with the protest. But then again, it's not like it doesn't work.
Yeah. On the other hand, before we get started listening to Tom Homan's phone call again, can I just take a moment to talk about how weird the like kaiju Virgin Mary stomping on the Capitol is?
Yes, it is a little weird.
What's hilarious to me is over her face they have a little mini one.
Yeah.
Like nobody thought this out.
Yeah.
No.
It's like that. Yeah, the Catholic. That's the Catholics for Catholics logo, which is also the Virgin Mary.
So I know the thing they're supposed to be going for, right, is that the Virgin Mary is looking down on the United States government from heaven. Cool. The way you do that is not that you have the heavenly object actually like overlapping with the object it's looking down on. Like, this is actually pretty obvious. You can look at a lot of iconography from Christian art, both in Western Europe as well as Eastern Christian art. When you have something or someone looking down from heaven, you separate it so that there's no touching. And that gives you the impression that it's actually up in heaven. Whereas right now, like you said, it looks like Mary's just stomping around Washington, D.C. as a kaiju.
Right.
And I'm not even saying that for like iconography, like, oh, like the meaning behind it. This is just basic like art stuff. Don't make it look like it's touching the ground if it's supposed to be in the sky.
Right. On the other hand, I think that one could make the case that given the fact that Mike Johnson decided that it was really cool to mouth off to the Pope about how Mike Johnson understands Matthew 25 better than the Pope does, because that's a thing that could happen.
I mean, Mike Johnson does belong to a group of Christians that think they know the Bible better than the Pope as a whole. So it checks out, at least for him, that that's a thing he would do.
They do believe that Catholics don't know anything about the Bible because they're so caught up in tradition.
Yeah.
Which, oh boy, is there a lot of Protestant tradition that Protestants are in denial about.
Yeah.
Well,
so what I'm saying is that given that Mike Johnson has been shooting off his mouth, it would not be unreasonable to imagine that the Virgin Mary might think, you know what, kaijuing the Capitol would be fun.
I mean, I'm for it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And like, presumably Jesus is like, Mom, we can't break physics.
What I want is Mike Johnson to invoke Martin Luther and for Mary to come and fight him as a giant kaiju battle all across the strip in DC.
Yeah. So you're picturing a Mary versus Martin Luther kaiju battle?
Yes, That is exactly what I am picturing. And I want it to happen, and I know it won't. But if anyone out there is maybe a Catholic filmmaker who has something against Martin Luther, which is not hard to do. Martin Luther was, I mean, he had some valid criticisms, I think, but he was also a big old dick. I don't know, make it happen. If you need help, I have done VFX before. I'm not amazing at it, but I'm better than, like, I don't know, J.M. Truth, who has also done VFX for his movies. It's a low bar, but like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I'll do you better than the weirdo Flurf who can't spell his name right.
Yeah. So
I
anyway,
broke her a second time. I'm on a roll today.
So let's go back to kaiju. As we're
My mother would be so mad about this.
the kaiju.
He would totally write you like 20 pages of why you were wrong.
Letter, I would be interested to read it. I can't say I'll agree, but I'll at least take it seriously.
Yeah, because in all seriousness, I do think that Tom Homan, you know, as someone who believes that the Virgin Mary has opinions on things, might want to reflect on the fact that at some point he is going to be asked to stand in front of Our Lady of Guadalupe and explain to her slowly why he thought putting Mexican kids in cages was a good idea. Because Tom Homan purports to believe that that's something that she might have opinions on.
See, the thing is, I'm not sure he actually believes that. I think it might just be that he performs that belief because it helps him maintain those identity markers that are important to him and to his like social group, which is like a performative Catholicism. I'm not actually convinced that he actually believes any of this stuff. I think if he might think that he does, but it seems.
Yeah.
And look, maybe I'm just being optimistic with like all of this. I don't know. Maybe I'm being pessimistic. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm wrong. But it seems like a lot of these people are very performative, especially the people who are like relatively powerful. I think the people in the pews are probably not just doing this performatively. I think they're real believers. But like, I don't know. Do you really think that Tom Homan like is racked with guilt if he missed mass one Sunday? I don't.
I don't know. I think that it's equally likely that he has constructed a belief system that he is confusing with the Catholic Church.
That could be, yeah.
And that he is continuing to carry out the behavior as expected of him in that weird belief system.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
The fact that this, you know, is putting him in direct contact, in direct conflict with the Catholic Church seems to be something that is at least causing him a certain amount of cognitive dissonance, even if his response to that cognitive dissonance is to say, well, the bishop should shut up.
That actually reminds me, what is the line at which point some of these assholes get excommunicated? Because like, it seems pretty clear that they're going against the will of not just their local bishops, but the Pope and more or less the broad consensus of the bishops of the Catholic Church on what should and shouldn't happen in a country. So like, it seems to me like if there were ever a time when maybe it's time to excommunicate someone for brazenly rejecting the teachings and discipline of the bishops of the church. Like, why is it not now?
Basically because the Catholic Church right now is trying to allow for as much breadth of opinion within the church as possible.
To the point of just saying fascism is cool?
To the point of not condemning, like, to the point of not coming out and excommunicating people.
right?
Right, but that's my question. What more
Well,
could it possibly take? What is the scenario?
Okay.
What do these people have to do to get excommunicated?
Okay. Basically, the Catholic Church isn't going to kick them out. The Catholic Church is going to force them to leave. Right? So, what the Catholic Church is going to do is they're going to come out and say, the Pope will come out and say, the people who are detaining and torturing migrants are manifest sinners and violating Matthew 25 and are like doing all of this stuff that is not consistent with Catholic teaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. At the point that the Pope says that, anybody who doesn't go along with what the church is saying, this is what you are supposed to do as a Catholic, they are automatically excommunicated due to schism.
Okay,
right?
but Tom Homan gets that message, then he presents himself for communion at his local parish. Is he going to receive the Eucharist?
That is up to his local priest and up to his local bishop.
And if he does, do they get in trouble?
That's
assuming that they know what's going on. We'll give that caveat there.
That again is going to depend on his local bishop, because there are some bishops who feel like, okay, Tom Homan is like screwing up on every possible level, but as long as he's still calling himself a Catholic, there is a possibility that he's actually going to eventually listen and get it through his thick head, right?
Yeah, but that's not incompatible with an excommunication. You can come back after being excommunicated.
Right. But
you can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a discipline. It's not supposed to be a you're out forever.
Huh.
Yeah.
The idea is not that you've been kicked out of the Catholic Church. It's that you're not allowed to take the sacraments until you fix what's wrong.
Yeah, which is something that can be done like fairly easily, right?
Yeah. It's not that hard to do. It's basically there's a penance period and you faithfully attend church and you correct your behavior and whatever it was that was keeping you from communion. And once you've demonstrated that to the satisfaction of whatever bishop is in charge of you, then you can come back.
Yeah. And the thing is that they aren't quite at the point where they're willing to just like excommunicate people yet. They're trying to put pressure on them to get them to change their behavior without having to excommunicate people. And part of the reason why they're being slow to pull out the excommunication card is because of like people like Steve Bannon, who have been kind of cozying up to various sedevacantists and like quasi schismatic groups within the Catholic Church, like the SSPX. And so the concern is that basically if you like excommunicate like a whole bunch of people, that they're just going to go, fine, we're just going to go have our own like little schismatic MAGA Catholicism.
So instead you just want to be in communion with just Nazis. So
instead you allow Nazis to continue to, so instead you require Nazis to go to church and pray for justice for migrants.
But also you commune with them.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you're keeping them inside so that you can tell them to do better. And they still are agreeing that they're required to listen to you. It's not a way of dealing with problem people that a lot of people find emotionally satisfying.
I just wouldn't feel terribly comfortable with with taking a sacrament that is supposed to imply a unity, and not just imply, but to manifest a unity with the other people with whom I participate, where the other participants are just open fascists. I feel like I would excommunicate myself from such a group.
And there are some people that feel that way. You know, on the other hand, it's on the other hand, it's also, you know, commonly said that, like, if you receive the sacrament unworthily, you're bringing judgment upon yourself, right?
Yeah, that's in various prayers around various churches around the sacrament. That's true.
Yeah. So basically, the idea is that if Tom Homan is doing stuff that the Pope has told him not to do, and that would literally make baby Jesus cry, that he's going to have to pay for that.
Yeah, see, as someone who's not Catholic and who is not persuaded by the idea that Tom Homan's going to get his in the afterlife, I don't care about that part. And I get why the Catholic hierarchy does. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But, like, at least you see why, to a non-Catholic who is not convinced of various Catholic afterlife propositions, that seems like a weak excuse for keeping these people as members in good standing with the Catholic Church.
Yes, I understand why, like, because, you know, a lot of Catholics feel that way too, right?
All right.
Like, there are a lot of Catholics who are like, why are we not excommunicating these sons of bitches, right? And the actual answer seems to be that at the current moment, the Pope is willing to hand Tom Homan enough rope to hang himself with.
So I have a question. Is there some idea that perhaps, because I mean, we've talked about the persecution complex that was going on there, that excommunicating them would fuel this?
Yes, that is likely to be another issue.
I mean, I don't know that I agree with it as a premise, but because there's a certain amount of, like, these people are going to do that anyway.
Right.
But I feel like that would be a calculation that they're making without, and I don't agree with the calculation, I think, is where I'm at. But I can see that being a calculation that they're trying to make, is that if we excommunicate them, they will lean into, we are persecuted, and
Really, what needs to happen is that Pope Leo needs to give me a call.
Yeah, there's really there's really no I mean, there's no question that if these guys were to be excommunicated, that it would just fuel their persecution complex.
Yeah, but I gotta be honest, that seems like saying, oh, but look, if you drilled a hole in the side of the Titanic, it will sink 3/4 of a second faster. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, like I say, like, there are plenty of people who are like, why haven't they excommunicated these guys yet? Right.
I'll be honest. I feel like if I were a Catholic priest, which I don't think I'm ever going to be one, but if I were, and Tom Homan presented himself for communion, I don't think I would give him communion. I don't think I would commune him. Or if I were just like a latest, like a what do you call it? What do you call the people who are lay people who
extraordinary minister of holy?
There you go. Which is slightly more likely, I suppose, because I guess it's slightly more likely that I might just become Catholic, whereas it's much, much less likely I'd become a priest. Yeah, I don't think I would do that either in that situation, which sure might get me kicked out. But
yeah. Well, I mean, in general, priests are allowed to deny people communion. On the other hand, denying people communion is kind of like the nuclear option. And
yeah, they're fascists.
Yes.
That's when you use the nuclear option, is when they're fascists.
Yes.
Because you know who they're going to come for after they finish with all the people with brown skin? They're going to start coming for the Catholics.
Yes.
There's a reason that there are
Because
current
religious
Catholic saints
people-
who died to fascism.
Yes.
Because fascists love religious people, but only insofar as they are credulous
Yes.
and sign on to fascism.
Yeah. No, like I say, if you think that, Pope Leo ought to excommunicate these chuckle fucks, well, there are.
It doesn't even have to go that high. They have local bishops.
Yeah, or local
There are
bishops.
priests who can opt to de facto excommunicate them by refusing them communion.
Yeah.
Like it's not just the hierarchy in terms of like the bishops and the council of cardinals and the pope, right? Every single parish priest who communes one of these assholes is himself supporting fascism in doing so, in my humble opinion, which is a non-Catholic opinion. So I get that most priests probably aren't going to care, and I get why, and that's fine. But still, if you're watching this and you're a priest and you decide that you're going to commune someone who's an open and proud racist and fascist, I want you to remember that you're collaborating with fascists. Right. Every time you put that host in that guy's hands or on his tongue, you are helping fascists do fascism. And if later on you go down to a protest, I want you to think about the hypocrisy there.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think that the response of a priest who would do that is that communion is not a reward for virtue, it's medicine for the sick.
Well, then why is there a long history of using the withholding of it as a punishment for vice?
And
you can't have it both ways.
Well, and that's actually the difference, is that the sacrament, the view of the sacrament of communion is shifting to where, like, denying people communion as a punishment is becoming less of a thing.
Is it not still supposed to be, though, the manifestation of the unity of the church? Like, yes. It is still that, right?
Yes.
Okay, well,
and it's,
I don't want to be a part of a church that wants open fascists to be unified with me. Well, like, why would anyone? Why would anyone want to be in the church that's like fascists? Well, I mean, sure, I guess we're not happy about it, but sure, why not?
Well, the idea isn't that open fascists are good and should be encouraged to be open fascists. The idea is that the open fascists will stop being fascists.
But they're obviously not doing it.
Okay. But let me put it to you this way, okay?
Okay.
If we're just talking about American white Catholics who attend church on a daily basis.
Okay. That's a small group.
Okay. Trump is underwater with those people.
Good.
In polls, right? If we are talking about if we're talking about other kinds of American white Christians who go to church on a weekly basis, over 80% of those people approve of Donald Trump.
Right.
So I would like to submit that the difference between like these two kinds of very conservative white people is the fact that in the Catholic Church, they're hearing something that is causing them to be slightly less terrible than they might otherwise be.
I get that might be the idea, but I don't think that that's actually what's happening. And I guess what the whole question of mine boils down to is there a level of depravity that is unrepentant that one could sink to, at which point the Catholic Church would say no? Because it doesn't seem like it.
Yes, there is, but
what could it possibly be?
I think that at the point that you have, like, I think that if there was like actual like house to house searches,
Which there is.
like on a larger scale.
Oh, okay. So it's only a
Right.
little bit of house to house. So like a little bit of murder on the streets is fine as a treat. You can still take communion, but not too much murder in the streets, right? Like you
I
see how that comes off, right? And I'm not directing at you, Katie. I know I'm getting a little heated about it.
Yeah. No, I agree. What I'm saying is that it hasn't yet hit. It is that obviously from the reaction of the hierarchy, right? It has not yet hit the point that anybody who is working for the US government is to be considered to be like excommunicated from the Catholic Church.
Look,
right?
I'm not asking for like every IRS auditor or like park ranger to be excommunicated, but like the guy orchestrating murder in the streets and the kidnapping of little children resulting in their death through negligence from withholding medical care, like Tom Homan is a fucking murderer of children and he hasn't been excommunicated. So if you're going to tell me that, well, you know, there's a point at which your open depravity is enough to get you booted, but child murder isn't that point? What is the point?
I'm saying that because what I'm saying is that I think that we're getting very close to that point. But I think
okay.
No. But I think that the US
is there a number of murdered children that it takes? Is it like 502 or something? And then that's when we press the button?
I think that the Catholic bishops are just trying to make it as obvious as possible that when they start excommunicating people, that they truly had no other option. Because if they do it slowly and carefully and set everything up just right ahead of time, when Tom Homan and Steve Bannon and JD Vance and Bishop Strickland start saying, we are being persecuted by the woke Catholic hierarchy, everybody sitting in a pew has to be able to go, that's bullshit.
Because okay. So it's not the dead kids that matter. It's the opinion of the people who might otherwise feel sympathy for the child murderers. All right, that's fair enough. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
I'm saying that they have to make sure that the child murderers will not be able to credibly represent themselves as legitimate Catholic opposition to the Pope.
Yeah.
I think the problem that lies on that thought is that these people are living in a place where the truth is real. Like I think that's the problem with that, and I don't have I mean I'm not Catholic, so like
yeah, I'm not either. And but, honestly, this currently the current situation makes me feel disinclined to ever want to be, because I would have trouble joining an organization that was like, well, yeah, I mean, some of our members murder children, but like, if we decided to not let them be members in good standing, then other of our members might not get it. Okay.
No, what I'm saying is that you have to, they have to be eased out in such a way.
No, Katie, I get it. I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's a good excuse. And quite frankly, I think it's reprehensible. But also, I'm not in charge of any of that. And I understand what they're doing. And I get it. But also, that doesn't mean I like it. That doesn't mean I think it's right. Doesn't mean I don't think it's reprehensible.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who don't think it's right. I mean, believe me, like I would like them to be taking a harder line than they are, right? But at the same time, I also recognize that the people who are doing this are not doing this because they're okay with fascism. They're doing this because they are making strategic decisions.
So was most of the Vichy France government. You know what they ended up being?
Yeah, I know.
Collaborators.
Yeah. I'm just saying that I don't think we've quite hit that point yet. And I might be wrong. Okay.
I feel like we've crossed every possible line, including basically what amounts to a genocide of Catholic ethnic groups in the United States. Because remember, genocide doesn't have to be killing all of them. In fact, forcibly removing large demographic or just demographics from your country, forcibly for no good reason, in fact, is a genocide. The United States is currently committing genocide against Latinos in the United States. And like, what line is left?
Yeah.
Murder in the streets, genocide, complete lawlessness. When you tell me we're not there yet, it just seems like there is no there. It's going to be perpetually, well, we're just not ready yet.
Yeah. But the other thing,
get off the pot. At this point, I can't imagine not being schismatic.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that it takes a long time to turn a really big boat.
So I have a question about this.
Yeah.
So this is a thing that gets talked in like more low church circumstances, largely because I spend way too much time listening to podcasts like the Sons of Patriarchy. Won't go there. About church discipline. So it's always very nebulously described in churches that I grew up in, but largely when you're like independent Baptist, if they say no, you can't, then you just go down the street or you start your own church. So that's a thing. But so of course Catholicism is different. Is there a formal process?
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, what it usually looks like is somebody starts shooting their mouth off about stuff that they're not supposed to be talking about in that way. And then the bishop, or in some cases their priest, tells them to sit down and shut up. And that can be like for example, a bishop will say, like, you're not allowed to speak publicly, right? Or you're not allowed to teach theology, or you're not allowed to do whatever. And then at that point, they have a choice to either accept what was, to either accept that and shut up, or they can leave.
Because I feel like this conversation, it would be much more
productive.
Yeah, if it was or believable, or I don't know, much more
legitimate.
Yeah, if it was like, well, okay, so Tom Holman's been told X.
Yeah.
And because we do believe in redemption, and we do believe in repentance, we do want it. We want to give him an opportunity to, pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this will be the next step. And I feel like that as an outsider would be much more, or even as an insider would be much more reassuring, which is a thing that the Catholic Church can do in a way that, say, like, Baptists can't.
Right.
Like, your church can be popped out of an association, but there's lots of Baptist churches that don't have any association, or just would go to a different one. So like that
Right.
feels like the
Well-
mechanism is much less useful, but it feels like this is like a tool that like Catholicism has.
Yeah.
But it's getting
Well-
rusty.
Right. Well,
So I mean it's hard to say as an outsider like if that's not like if it isn't actually happening, I don't know. It would be
well,
if it is, they're not telling anybody.
Well,
apparently.
I think that the answer to that is that, like, in Catholic brain, when the Bishops' Council gets up there and says, okay, we need to be working for migration reform and supporting migrants, that's everybody being given their marching orders. And then you have a certain amount of time to see if people are going to comply or if people are going to need to get spanked a little bit more.
Maybe this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And right now we're kind of in the like, okay, y'all have been told what to do. Now it's time to get in line. And then there's conversations that are happening in private, presumably, aimed at getting these guys to straighten up.
So we're in the fuck around phase, and we're trying to get, and we're not. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like they are being allowed to publicly show their whole asses to the world.
Do you think you and or the hierarchy gets the perspective from people like me who are on the outside but who feel like there just isn't a find out phase coming? Because I mean, let's be honest, there's been a lot of people who should have found out across a lot of history who never did. It's not like the Catholic Church has a great track record of punishing people for things like genocide who were Catholic.
Yeah, I think that I think that the hierarchy, and I can only, speak for myself, obviously,
right,
is like, we all want the find out phase, right? Like, I want the find out phase. Most of the Catholics that I personally talk to about this kind of stuff wants the find out phase.
I mean, I would just prefer us to not have to have a fuck around phase and just
but,
that not be a problem.
But I also, so I get the frustration, right? I 100% get the frustration, but I also think that right now, I believe that there is a find out phase coming. And I think that it's happening sooner rather than later.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. But
yeah,
also,
I also think, though, that, like, but I also think that there's a point where, the church is just trying, and also the Catholic Church right now is like, they're trying to, like, negotiate an end to a war in Sudan, right? There are a bunch of Palestinians in Gaza that they're trying to keep, alive.
Oh, that's absolutely true. But also, there's a lot of bishops. I feel like a few of them could take some time.
Yeah. I'm just saying that, like, there's just the fact that, like, there's a lot going on.
That's true.
And I personally am willing to say I'm willing to give them a little bit of trust.
Okay. Do you see, though, that for me,
a little bit of trust is because there are Catholic priests out there getting pepper sprayed.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening if the Protector of America award was, like, being given by, like, a cardinal with, like, full pomp and circumstance. I would have a lot less grace for the hierarchy than I do.
All right. I don't normally like bringing this particular thing up, but I feel like it's very important in this particular circumstance, right? Because what you're saying to me is that there's going to be a find out stage, but the recently, and by recently I mean I remember it, and it happened literally around me. The find out phase for the Catholic Church themselves hiding pedophiles within their own ranks came because they started losing lawsuits.
Yeah.
So when you tell me, oh, there's a find out phase coming, I think back to the last time there needed to be a find out phase and remember that what it took was the Catholic Church losing literally millions of dollars. And so when you say like, oh, don't worry, there's a find out phase, I just think back thinking, I remember meeting Cardinal Law several times.
Yeah.
And it turns out that guy was basically the Catholic version of Epstein.
Yeah, he was.
And when he got to the find out phase, it wasn't because he was outed. It was because the lawsuit started. Because he was outed long before he was forcibly retired, and it took losing actual money and having to sell off parishes and close down operations because they couldn't afford it anymore for the Catholic Church to do a damn thing about it other than say, tut tut.
And I think that experience has fundamentally reshaped the way that a lot of the hierarchy thinks about dealing with like child abuse, right?
Okay, but currently Tom Homan is a child abuser.
Okay, I'm talking about like I'm talking about like specifically the abuse of children and other vulnerable people by clergy, right? Because the fact of the matter is that in the past 30 years, the Catholic Church has taken real and concrete and measurable and ongoing steps to making sure that shit doesn't happen again.
Right, but you got to remember that that's in the context of they were losing money.
Yes.
And when that's the thing that makes you do a thing, it is hard for everyone else to believe that you're doing it in good faith rather than just out of self-interest. And I'm not saying that there's no good faith attempts within the Catholic Church, because I know personally I've met many Catholics, both laity and clergy, who were in fact horrified and who did actually try to implement steps to make sure that their people that they had around them were safe. And so I'm not saying that's not happening, but it still feels a whole lot like, oh, the Catholic Church got its hand caught in the cookie jar and now they're cleaning up their act a little bit because, well, they lost a whole bunch of money. And so it's hard for me to see them as having moral authority when that happens. And now I'm seeing, let's be honest, this is far worse. Far more people are being directly affected. People are dying. Children are dying, right? And all at the behest of, I suppose not open, but widely known pedophiles, some of whom are Catholic, apparently. And the response is so far, well, you really shouldn't do that. Okay, cool.
But by saying you really shouldn't do that, it's removing their moral cover.
They don't give a fuck.
It's cutting into their access to legitimacy. They may not care.
But it's not, though. Do you think Tom Homan feels less legitimate because the Pope is cross at him? Do you really think that? Because I don't.
No, but I think that there are voters who will not vote for the Republican candidate in the fall because the Pope is cross at Tom Homan. And I think that that's ultimately more important.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like personal responsibility is a thing that needs some kind of someone to stand up for it. But maybe that's just a pipe dream. Maybe I'm asking too much of the body of Christ on earth to have a moral fiber that says that people who are going to unite themselves to it maybe shouldn't be child murderers who are unrepentant.
Yeah. Or maybe, you can force them to repent.
I mean, okay. I just feel like there were a whole lot of people that Jesus said, go repent to. And what he didn't say was like, I don't know, maybe repent. But if you don't, here's a healing anyway. Right? Yeah. Like, I feel like Jesus was sometimes like, hey, you got to stop that right now. And then when people didn't, he was like, well, oh well, like maybe the rich man who decided not to sell all of his things. Jesus wasn't like, well, I mean, I did ask you to do the thing, but it's fine that you didn't.
Well,
You're still good. That wasn't the response.
yeah, but the rich man was also like, again, had the opportunity to sell his stuff and do what he was supposed to do.
And until he did, he wasn't getting in. Right? That's the point of the story, is that he continued to refuse to.
But if you're already in, but what happens when you're already in and you disobey?
There should be a minimum standard of conduct, and it should draw the line way before being in charge of murdering children.
Okay. The problem with that, though, is that when you start being like, okay, we're going to be super hard line on that.
That's
right?
not a super hard line. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Murdering children is not a hard line.
Okay. What I'm saying is that Tom Homan is not personally shooting kids.
Yeah, and Hitler didn't personally shoot anyone either. Who gives a fuck?
Right. Okay. What I'm trying to say, though, is that we're going to excommunicate people who aren't doing what the bishop says that they should do. Is a genie that when you take it out of the bottle is really hard to get put in.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to fall for a slippery slope when the thing I'm asking as a line is murdering kids. I feel like that's a perfectly reasonable line for someone to say, you know what? You can't be in my club anymore because you're an unrepentant child murderer.
Well, and you're allowed to think that, but I'm just saying that the people who, that's not the political judgment or the moral judgment that's being made by the people who are running the Catholic Church.
I think Pibblepunk has it right.
They are trying to both simultaneously keep kids from getting put in cages and trying to get Tom Homan to be a better person.
I don't know that you can do that.
Yeah,
but they're gonna try.
I'm with Pibblepunk on this one, who says in the chat, does the church have any moral authority at all or not? Because it seems like the answer is pretty explicitly no at this point. The slope has been slipped. Where the hell else is there to go? You're already stewing in the lowest pit possible. And yeah, I get it. There could be a larger number of children, but like...
Well, again, though, the bishops are not supporting Tom Homan.
Okay, Katie, let's say I'm Catholic and I go to confession and I say to the priest, well, yesterday, I killed a neighborhood kid in cold blood by kidnapping him and keeping him in my basement. And he was a type 1 diabetic, and I didn't give him access to his insulin. And so a week later, he died of starvation. Can I take communion? I don't really feel bad about this. I'm just curious. Is the priest going to let me take communion?
No.
Well, then what the fuck is Tom Homan doing taking communion?
Well, also, we don't know that Tom Homan is taking communion.
Is anyone saying that there's not letting him? Because, I mean, it seems to me like he's almost certainly presenting himself for communion and is a part of his performance Catholicism. I feel like there's a very good chance that there's someone who's watching that man go up at least once a month to take communion.
That is entirely possible. And what I'm saying is that the people who are allowing Tom Homan to take communion are not allowing Tom Homan to take communion because they approve of his actions. They are doing that in the sincere belief that doing so will cause Tom Homan to become a better person who will not, in fact, continue to lock little kids in cages.
So the correct response from the priest that you said wouldn't let me commune should actually be, well, I will let you commune in the hopes that next time you choose not to murder a child.
No, because by going to confession and presenting yourself to the priest for like the priest having that conversation with you, the priest is then going to be, assigning penance.
Okay, well, let me modify it slightly. I didn't go to confession to say this. Instead, while people were still gathering for mass and the priest was there, maybe he was getting ready, putting on all of his vestments and whatnot, I loudly proclaimed my kidnapping and subsequent murder by negligence of a diabetic child in the church. Would the priest commune me? Because now I'm a notorious child murderer who is unrepentant.
Right. Well, okay. Again, though, this is something.
No, I want to know, would the priest commune me?
No.
Well, then what the hell are we doing here? Tom Homan is an open, notorious, and unrepentant child murderer. I don't care if you want him to get better. If you have an open and unrepentant child murderer, the least you do is say, hey, buddy, we're not letting you in the club today. I don't feel like that's a line that we need to be careful about a slippery slope with. He's a notorious child murderer who is not just unrepentant, but who is proud of murdering children. He wouldn't put it that way, but he very obviously is. I'm sorry, I don't understand how that isn't how that cannot be the line. How the line doesn't stop at fucking killing children and being open and proud about it. Because that's what's happening. And the Catholic Church, which you're telling me wouldn't let me, just some asshole off the street, commune if I were an open and notorious and proud and unrepentant child murderer commune. But apparently, the Catholic Church is in on the whole, well, if you're rich and powerful enough, then I guess you get away with it kind of deal. I thought they were supposed to be above that. I thought that Jesus was all about protecting the poor and having, if anything, harsher standards for the rich because they were given more, and so more is expected of them. I feel like that's a parable.
Okay. The reason for that is that...
I know the reason. It just is a fucking dumb reason.
Okay. The reason for that is the same logic could be applied to...
I don't want to hear another slippery slope, Katie. Please don't do that to me.
No. Could be applied to any Catholic politician who is in favor of abortion being legal.
Great.
And
the Catholic Church is serious about abortion being the murder of children, which I don't think they are. But if they are, then yeah, they should do that. Because that should be a line. If it's murder, and you would say to me as an open and notorious and unrepentant child murderer, which as far as the Catholic Church is concerned includes abortion, I disagree, but whatever, that should be a line. Joe Biden shouldn't be a member in good standing of the Catholic Church. Because according to the Catholic Church, he is in fact an open and unrepentant, but maybe not enthusiastic child murderer. Or at the very least, is in favor of allowing it to continue. Like, right. At some point,
and okay.
Like, do you actually hold these moral principles as the Catholic Church, or do you not? Like, does it actually matter that people behave in any particular way to be let in? Because I got to be honest, it seems like you care a whole lot more that some guy might say something a little bit off about the Trinity than that children get murdered and raped. Because quite frankly, the history of the Catholic Church on those fronts in the last couple centuries has been pretty abysmal. And I get that there were some changes made to help prevent the abuse by clergy. But like, my God, it seems like that was just to mollify people who would otherwise keep suing them.
No, like, actually, the changes to policy to protect children were put in place to protect children.
Well, that's great, and I'm not saying it's not, but what I am saying is it sure as hell doesn't look like the Catholic Church is even trying to have any moral authority right now.
What I'm okay, that's actually unfair.
Maybe it is, but also they're the group that are like, hey, child murderers? No, that's fine.
Because what I'm saying is
as
that
long as they're politicians,
there's a certain, like, there is a very narrow balancing, there's a very fine line that the church has to tread.
And apparently child murderer is on the okay side as long as you're powerful enough.
Because there is basically there is no logic that allows for blanket excommunication of, say, everybody who's in ICE, right?
I didn't say that.
That or okay, or even okay, so there's no logic.
I'm not asking for any blanket excommunications.
Okay.
I'm saying that if someone is identifiably a current practicing Catholic who is in charge of the murder of children, you say no to that guy. I'm not asking for an interdict over North America or the United States. I'm not asking for a categorical excommunication of ICE officers. I'm saying this particular human, his name is Tom Homan. He lives at a known address. He has a particular person who he's married to. He has a social security number. He probably has a baptism and a confirmation record somewhere. That guy is currently an open and proud and unrepentant child murderer. And you told me that if I were that, I wouldn't be communed. But apparently, there's not a single fucking bishop who can say the same thing to Tom Homan, another identifiable, particular Catholic human person. This isn't about blanket or categorical excommunication. I'm saying this guy. Why can't we do that?
I'm saying that that is a question that is above my pay grade. That is a question that is probably being discussed very seriously by Tom Homan's bishop and Tom Homan's priest.
I'm glad that there's a serious discussion about whether or not the child murderer is a good guy enough to actually stay a part of our club. Sounds like a great club.
And not, okay, are we but again, it's not, we aren't kicking, it's not, we are letting him stay because we approve of him. It's, we are letting him stay so that we can yell at him more.
Okay, but again, that wouldn't be the response I would get if I kidnapped a child and let him die in my basement. So, well, what are we doing? Why does he get special treatment? Is it just, look, just admit it. It's because the Catholic Church is scared of the United States government. That's it. That's the reason. And it's, you know what? It's actually not that bad of a reason, honestly. There are things that I'm not doing right now because I'm scared of the United States government. That's fine.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, part of,
but let's not pretend that this is some high and mighty quest for the repentance of Tom Homan. It's not. Because the absolute fact is, if I went in there into that Catholic church as a previously Catholic in good standing and announced to the world that I had kidnapped a child and murdered him through withholding medical care, I wouldn't be communed.
Yeah, you're right. Part of the issue is that they are very aware that if the Trump administration gets sufficiently pissed off at US Catholics, that there could be a widespread persecution of Catholics, and they probably don't want to trigger that.
Remind me, what was the Catholic Church's response when Catholics were asked to burn a pinch of incense to the Roman emperor? Was it burn the incense?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I want to know, was it burn the incense? Because I feel like the answer was no. Don't burn the incense.
Actually, there was a lot of debate in the Catholic Church about whether or not you should burn the incense. Eventually, the decision was made in favor of accepting martyrdom rather than burning the incense.
Mm-hmm.
But
maybe it's time to stop burning the incense.
Well,
I'm not saying that you're in charge of that, Katie. I'm not blaming you.
I know. I'm just saying that the decision of the hierarchy is that we are not, I mean, but at the same time, we can ask, Dapper, why aren't you having a general strike?
I did. Last time one was called for, I did. I opted not to do any work that would generate me or any company money and not to buy things.
Yeah. But I mean, why aren't we having, but this is kind of like the same as, people in Europe who are like, why aren't you guys having a general strike right now? Why is everybody not walking to Washington, D.C. right now?
Oh, I physically can't. So I'm doing what I can by doing things like raising awareness and opposing intellectual ideas coming from the fascists, because I am doing what I physically can, because I cannot effectively do a march to DC because I won't actually be physically able to do much of that. So
Right.
I'm doing the things that I can.
Right.
And in fact, I am participating in general strikes when they happen, which means that, and also, if Tom Homan showed up and said, "Hey man, can I have some bread and maybe some wine?" I'd be like, "No, Tom, go fuck yourself."
Right.
And you know what? He probably wouldn't like it. And I'd probably get investigated by Pam Bondi. And she'd probably try to get Janine Pirro or some idiot to indict me. Great.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that there are people who are taking a little bit softer line, and maybe they're right and maybe they're wrong, and we'll find that out, right?
No, we've already found out. We know how it goes. We don't have to wait. We know how this goes.
Yeah. Well,
there's not a whole lot of mystery. This is a play that's been put on before.
yeah.
We know where it goes. It goes with priests in the cages regardless. Because if I remember correctly, there was actually a treaty between the Holy See and the Third Reich. And it still ended with a whole bunch of priests in cages.
Yeah.
So
and again, this is not going to end up with the Catholic Church supporting Trump, because the Catholic Church isn't supporting Trump right now. What
just
they're
collaborating.
What they're doing is they are not yet saying to American Catholics, like, every single American Catholic has to oppose the Trump regime.
I'm not even asking for that. I'm literally just saying the particular individual identifiable Catholics who are in charge of an ongoing murderous regime should maybe have a little trouble getting a Eucharistic host at Mass. But you know what? I do actually unfortunately have to get going, and I don't want to end this on a I'm angry at Catholics note, because I'm actually not angry at Catholics broadly. I'm not even angry at all of the bishops, because like I said, I want to end this on I really want to give props to the various Catholic laity and clergymen who have stepped up in terms of protests, showing up at courthouses to deter ICE, and who have been in fact suffering as a result, both in terms of just physical injury and also in terms of their mental health, and in some cases probably pretty soon legal consequences. So and I recognize that a large number of Catholic clergy and laity are doing that, and I can't say that how much I appreciate that, especially since it seems to have, at least in some cases, been very effective, more effective than just some random asshole dinosaur could be. So that's where I want to end this, is the big props for everyone who's doing that. And my frustrations with the Catholic hierarchy are not the same thing as my sincere admiration for everyone who's doing that. And I recognize that a lot of that is as a result of them trying to live out their Catholic faith. And I really appreciate that. So that's where I want to leave it.
Okay, so Dapper, you will not be back next week, correct?
Yeah, I can't be back next week. If we're still doing this the week after, let me know, and I might be able to do that one. I'm not sure. I haven't checked my schedule on that one. But yeah, next week I have to be out. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's fine. We will try to get through, we'll try to get this finished up next week, because
good luck.
Because I would like you, when you come back, to come back for something, more fun and pleasant.
Yes, that would be nice.
Like
not that I don't look, I appreciate being here, and I know I got a little bit heated. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah. All right. Hey, everybody. I guess my last thing will be, hey, everybody, if Tom Homan comes to your door asking for food and wine, tell him to go fuck off.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Or just tell him to repent. Repenting is good.
You can, Katie, you can
there
tell
is
him to
admittedly
repent.
no wine or bread in my house because I'm gluten-free and don't have any wine.
Okay.
I think there's tortillas in my house.
So some of us will be back next week at 3:30 to hopefully finish this nonsense, and then maybe we can have Dapper back for more nonsense. Okay, see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.